life rhythm of opposites. Life is a rhythm of opposites. There is incoming breath and outgoing breath. And between these two exists your life. Suffering is there, happiness is there. Happiness is just like incoming breath, and suffering is outgoing breath. Logically, this too is good, because when there is a happiness, your energy level increases. It is like energy is coming in you. And in suffering, your energy is going out. Suffering is just like outgoing breath or day and night. This rhythm of opposite is the essence of life. You cannot say that I will live only when I am happy, and when I am not happy, I will not live. You cannot say that you will use only left foot or right foot. For walking, you have to use both feet. Walking is a rhythm between the left and right feet. Life is a rhythm between incoming and outgoing breath. So too is happiness and suffering. Happiness is incoming breath because it brings tremendous energy into you, and suffering is outgoing breath because your energy is used. No one chooses suffering, remember. You ask any person, he will not say that he has chosen suffering. You ask why man has chosen to suffer. No one really chooses to suffer. You have chosen not to suffer. You have chosen to be happy, and you have chosen strongly. You are doing everything in life to be happy. This is not natural, and that is why you are suffering. You are not flowing with the rhythm of life. You choose one as against the other, and this creates the problem. So what is to be done? Remember, life is total. You cannot choose. The whole life has to be lived spontaneously and naturally, whatsoever comes in life. Whatsoever life brings moment to moment, if you start living with, there will be moments of happiness and there will be moments of suffering, and both have to be lived. You cannot choose because life is both. Otherwise, the rhythm will be lost, and once the rhythm is lost, there will be no life. Remember, it is like music. You hear some music, there are notes, sound, and after each sound, there is a silence, a gap. Because of that gap, because of that interval of silence, the sound, because both are opposite, music is created. Music is a rhythm between sound and soundlessness, means the gap between two notes. Both are opposites, and music is thus created. If you say that I will choose only sound and I am not going to take the gaps, there will be no music. So in Hindi there is a word used, khali, the emptiness, the gap. And the real music consists of gaps, it exists in the gaps. If music, and gap means the silence. If music cannot create the silence in you after each note, after each song, if it does not create silence in you, it is monotonous. It will be monotonous thing. It will be dead. Those gaps give life to the sound. And the music is alive, pulsating and beautiful because of those gaps. This is the beauty of life, that through opposite it exists, sound and silence. Sound and silence that creates the music, the rhythm. The same is with life. Suffering and happiness are two opposites. You cannot choose one against the other. You cannot choose day or night. The day is composed of, the complete is a rhythm between day and night. If you choose, you have become a victim and you will suffer. If you become aware of this totality of opposites, the rhythm of opposites, and the way that life functions, you will not choose the first thing. And when you do not choose, there will be no need to cling to anything. There is no meaning in clinging. When suffering comes, you enjoy the suffering. And when happiness comes, you enjoy the happiness. Or you can say, one comes a moment of introspection, hibernation, but you are enjoying it. First you have to enjoy, then you introspect and hibernate. When suffering comes, you enjoy the suffering, and when happiness comes, you enjoy the happiness. So happiness becomes the way of life. Whatsoever comes, you enjoy, you live. I have heard about this is one of the anecdote from Hindu scriptures. Narad, the wandering saint, the international news reporter, was moving from places to places. So he was walking on the earth and he saw a man sitting in lotus posture under a tree in meditation. So he asked the man, I am going to the Lord. Do you want me to find out anything for you? So he said, if you want, you can ask him how long will it take for me to be enlightened, awakened. Then you saw a man who was dancing under a tree, and he paid no attention to this sage. Then he inquired, do you want me to find out anything? How long will it take for you to be awakened? He said, it does not matter. I am enjoying my dance. It does not matter whether I am enlightened or not. If you want, you can ask him. but I am not interested in. So he went and he asked the Lord, and he said about the person who was meditating, it will take 7 lives to attain to awakening. And what about the man who is dancing? It will take as long as there are leaves in the tree. It will take as much time as there are leaves in the tree. He comes down and he goes to the same person who was meditating. He said, I inquired about your question, and the Lord said that it will take 7 lives to be enlightened. And he got angry. He said, what's the use of this meditation? I have been meditating all my lives, and still I have to take 7 lives to be enlightened. He got upset and angry. Then he was afraid if he should tell the person who is dancing under the tree what was told by the Lord. He goes, but the man did not pay any attention to him. So he interrupted and he said, I went and I asked the Lord, how long will it take for you to be awakened? He said, it does not matter to me at all. You can tell me. He said, but hesitatingly he said, the Lord said, it will take as much time as many leaves are there in the tree. Hearing this, he started dancing with a greater intensity. He started as many leaves as much time as there are leaves in the tree. He started dancing more vigorously, with more intensity, and that very moment he became enlightened. You are always anxious when this will happen. I have been doing this for so long. When it will happen? When will the water boil? You had put the water on the fire, but your stove is lighting like a candle. It will take its own time. The water within the pot knows. First, the pot has to get hot, warm, and then hot. Pot is the outer dimension and the water is the inner dimension. So too is your life. There is an outer dimension of life, the inner dimension of life. The outer dimension of life has to be activated first in the rhythm. No matter what you do, no matter what you do, even if you are engaged in sex, first it has to happen at the level of the body. When enough has happened, or the whatever is necessary for the effects to filter within, that state comes, then it goes within. You look at it here. You are earning a certain amount of money, but you need certain amount for your basic needs. When you have more than the finance, the money, more than your basic needs, only then it will go into the savings. You have energy, you need energy for basic life and living. Only when there is excess energy, that will be conserved, and it is the conserved energy which, when it reaches the boiling point, the explosion will happen. This is what quantum leap is. You want to be lukewarm or light your stove at the minimum. So what you do, anything that you do in the cooking depends upon what is the process. You are boiling rice, you put the rice to boil at a high flame, then as the process continues, then the high temperature will destroy, damage. Then you reduce the flame to zero or to the minimum. This is how the life goes on. So what it is important, first the outer dimension, the pot gets hot. When pot has gotten hot, then the heat is transferred to the water. The water is the inner content. It cannot get direct heat from the direct energy from the stove. The pot has to be hot, and when the pot is hot, the heat of the pot, through the pot, the outer dimension, the heat will reach the inner dimension. And when it reaches the inner dimension, if your pot is a bad conductor of electricity or energy, the heat or the energy will not be transferred to the inner dimension. Instead, the outer dimension will get damaged. So if suppose your pot is made out of wood, instead of metal, it will not. It is a bad conductor of energy, electricity. So it will not reach the inner dimension. Instead, the outer dimension will get damaged. And all the water will ooze out. So this bad conductor of electricity happens in human life because of your ego, because of your life as you have lived. You have created the armors and egocentric identities. Because of that, your outer dimension becomes a bad conductor of electricity. Nothing filters within, is communicated. The water, there is a condensation. The process, the heat is transferred, the energy is transferred into 3 dimensions: conduction, convection, and radiation. That is the process. Through the conduction, when the stove is lit under the pot, this is condensation. Convection is when whatever is the content within the pot, its molecules get warm, then they become light and they start moving upward. And this is convection. The third is radiation. The heat that is lit underneath, if there is a reflecting surface on top, so it reflects there and comes in the form of radiation. So 3 types: condensation, convection, and radiation. This is the entire process, the 3 stages. So when you start living your life, there is an outer dimension, it gets warm, it heats, the heat of that goes and it reflects back, and then as the process continues, the process of convection begins. Even in the very rigor, the very essence of sex is three dimensions of energy: the condensation, convection, and radiation, the reflection. So when you start your foreplay, what begins in that case? The outer dimension is getting hot. Then the process of convection begins. The energy is reaching within. And then there is a direct from the above, it also comes in. And this is what happens in that moment. So the three process, condensation, convection, and radiation, is the process of in that only the process begins. So you have not chosen it, you know the process, and it continues that way. So you can say in life, when it comes suffering, you enjoy it. I give you the example, the energy, when it is extra energy available to you, that energy will be conserved. So that is, the pot has to get hot. When it gets hot more than enough, then it reaches the inner dimension, and with inner dimension, it is the process of convection begins, and only then the process of transformation begins and continues as well. If you take this attitude that there is no choosing, you become choiceless, and when you are choiceless, you will become aware of yourself, because now you are not worried about what will happen. So you are not outgoing, you are not worried about what is happening around you. Whatsoever happens, you will enjoy it, you will live it, and you will go through it, whatsoever is there. You will experience it and you will gain something out of that, because every experience is an expansion of consciousness. Every experience is an expansion of consciousness. If there is really no suffering, you will be poor for it. Because suffering gives you a depth. A man who has not suffered will always remain only on the surface. So with that, the roots comes in. For the life of a plant, the roots are as important as the foliage, flowers, and petals. Suffering gives you a depth. Really, if there is no suffering in life, the life will be saltless. You will not you will be nothing, just there will be a boring phenomenon. Suffering gives you a tone, a keenness, a depth, a quality comes to you which only suffering can give. So you have to understand the significance of suffering. And it is only after the period of suffering is over then you realize it was important. You will be nothing without suffering, just a boring phenomena. Suffering gives you a tone, a keenness, a rhythm. A quality comes to you which only suffering can give, which no happiness can give. A man who has remained always in happiness, in comfort, and who has not suffered, will not have any rhythm or tone in life. He will be just a lump of being. There cannot be any depth in him. Really, there cannot be any heart. Heart is created through the suffering, through the pain you experience. Really, heart evolves out of this suffering. When Buddha went into severe austerities, it is then the roots went deeper into him and the heart, the compassion was developed. If a man has only suffered and has not known happiness, then too he will not be rich, because richness comes through the interaction between opposites. The more you move in opposites, the higher, the deeper you will be going. A man who has simply suffered will be a slave. He has not known any moments of happiness. He will not be alive. He will become like an animal. He will just exist anyhow. There will not be any overflowing in him. He will be pessimistic. His life will be an expression of pessimism. There will be no struggle, no adventure. He will not move. He will be simply stagnant. Will be a simple stagnant pool of consciousness where there are no rhythms, there are no waves. A stagnant pool of consciousness is not conscious. By and by he will become unconscious. That is why there is so much pain, and that is why when there is too much pain in life or suffering, you will become unconscious. So both suffering and happiness are essential. Without the one, you cannot be fulfilled in life. One supports the other. So just happiness will not be of much help, because there will be no challenge. Also, just pain will not be of much growth, because there will be nothing to struggle, to dream. And the life is a rhythm between the opposites. Enough for now.